Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Animation in a Minute. In this short clip, we are going to create another custom character. I find myself doing this all the time for simple little things. So just real quick, let me show you how this is done. Here is the character. Here's the page I'm working on. We set a placeholder. There she is, floating through with all these fun balloons. Look at that. Absolutely fun. And so what I want to do is just make her arms and legs move, body move, head move, and have her blink. And to do that, we just got to set up a few things. This is just a custom character. It's not a full human character. It's just a custom one. And I'll show you what that means. So I'm just going to zoom in real quick. Now, this part isn't going to take a minute, but the animation is a minute. And so you'll just have to bear with me. I may time lapse this. We'll see. But what I need to do is I need to separate her. And I will put this file in and link in the description if you want to follow along and do this with me. This was a clipping mask. I went ahead and undid the clipping mask through Object Clipping Mask Release. And I just arranged it where I needed. What I need to do is I copied the body 3 times because I need to separate the arms. And so I'm going to turn off 2 of them, and I'm going to just start with the torso. And so we need to use the knife tool here. And with it selected in the layer panel, if you don't see a layer panel, Windows, layer panel, I'm just going to go ahead and cut a nice curve like so. You hit A for selector tool, click off of her, and then click on the arm and delete that. Actually, I'm going to save that. No, I'm going to delete it. I'll show you why. So undo. I'm going to do it a different way. So delete. I'm just working on the torso. Same thing here. I'm going to go to my knife tool. I've clicked on A, clicked on this object here, and then go to my knife tool. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Boom. A, click off, click on that, delete. So now I've gotten rid of that for the torso. See that little bump there? I'm going to smooth it out like so. If it doesn't smooth out, I'm just going to delete it. That's better. There we go. Just a couple more smooth. I'm using the smooth tool right here under the sharper tool. And you have to select this in order to use it. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm not worried about the neck in this because her head's just going to be tilting, so I'm not going to worry about that. But now that I've got the torso, what I need to do is get to the left and right arms. So I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to start on this side, and this time I'm going to do a reverse cut. It needs to be a nice, smooth, rounded. There we go. And then I'm going to delete this. So there is the arm left. And so if I find the left arm, which is, where is this here? Oh, the hand. That's the hand. And this is just artwork that was left by the client. And I'm just going through it and working on it. And I have her full permission, our permission. It's actually our other business. So I call her my client. Anyways, so I'm going to shift select this and that path, group them, Command G on a Mac, Control G on a PC, and I'm going to name that arm left, just so I have a better. I'm going to drag it up to the top layer in order for me to do an asset export in just a minute. And now I'm going to turn on this one here and do the other arm. So over here with this guy, so I'm going to just group those, Command G, Control G on a PC. This is going to be arm right. And I still need to cut the arm out. And so now that I have that, I'm going to use my knife tool. And this art's pretty simplistic. It's not hard to cut out. And if there's like a bunch of polka dots, it'd be a little bit more intensive, but it's not too bad. Great. So now I have the 2 arms separated and the torso. And so now I need to go back in and I need to turn back on the torso. And for the torso, I'm going to have the dress below that torso, those 2 heart pockets, and I'm going to group those. I'm going to call that torso. Okay, I'm going to bring that out. The arms will go behind it, so I'll just layer it. This is going to be the head. Okay, and then over here we have her legs, her leg left. Oh good, she's got those separate, so I'm just going to put those out here. And then what do we have left over? Let me zoom out. Command Z, Control Z. Okay, so those are the paths on her dress. So I need to put that in the torso folder. There they go. And she did have this heart separated and cut as if she's floating around. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. That is a big group. I'm going to see if I can just combine it. There's two different ways to do this. I'm going to use Window Pathfinder first and just combine them. And that worked. Let's see if it'll work if I create. So I'm going to go Object, Path, Simplify. Just going to bring those points down just to kind of make it easier. And then I go Object, Compound Path, Make. And what I'm trying to do is, let's see, I think I can delete all these. Yep. So what I'm trying to do is just get it down to one compound path, like so. So the reason I want to do that is then I can put it above the torso, shift select these two, shift M, and there's a plus. If I hold down Alt, it's a minus. You see how I just minus that out of there? Now it looks like it's a pocket as the original art was intended. The last thing I need to do, I have, she separated these pigtails. Pigtail, I don't know which one this is, left. Pigtail left. And pigtail right. Just keeping things organized. We'll use this character once, so I'm kind of going fast. I'm not terribly concerned. On more complex characters, I'd spend hours, but this one's just a simple one. We do need her eyes to blink, so I'm just going to come in. There's her eyes. I'm going to hit A, click off of her eyes. I'm going to hit P for pen tool. I find it's the best to use. I'm just going to click and drag, and click, escape. Go click on, it's going to be at the very top. Click on this, the very top of your layer panels, and I'm going to turn on the stroke. Let's just start at a half. I'm going to turn off this main fill color. Turn the stroke color to black, and I'm going to make this a little bit thicker. Instead of uniform, I'm going to do this style. I'm going to click on the stroke, make it rounded on both sides, and I'm going to use this tool here. It's called the width tool. If you don't see it, click and hold width tool, zoom in, Command plus, Control plus on a PC, hover over this, make that a little bit thicker, a little bit thicker. And oh, I need to do it twice here. There we go. I like that. Let's just preview. It's a simple eye blink. That'll work for me on this page. Okay. And so I need to do the same thing on the other eye. And so I'm going to say this one is, they are the same eyes. So I'm just going to copy this. V, Alt, over, Shift, and over arrow. That's what I mean by over. Then just over arrow, perfection. So now I have the blinks and the eyes. I'm going to make those a little bit thicker because they need to show up on a small portion. So there we go. So now that I've got all those, what is this group here? Oh, that's a balloon I didn't turn off. Okay. Now that I've got all of these, they need to be on the main layer, and I'm going to shift select them all like so. And now that I've got them all, I'm going to use the asset export, window, asset export, and I'm going to click this one here for multiple. And there's all the ones that are highlighted. Then I'm going to export them as PNGs in the 1x scale format, export. If you don't see that, all you have to do, let me shrink this, is click on the asset export. You go like this. Where is it? Where's the edit? Export settings. Right here, but there's a way to edit this. I'll do that at the end because I can't remember. Is it here? No, that's the export for screens dialog. Oh, it's right here, but it should also be. Oh, there it is. Import presets. Just kidding. That's export. That's if I want to export it. So if you put a bunch of these, let's say you added a scale, made it a PNG, JPEG, stuff like that, you can save a preset. But what I want to do is I want to edit these right there. And when it's a PNG, I want type optimized, transparent background. And you can set each of these. If you want print quality, you could do high print quality, etc. So that's That's how you format the settings of this asset export. And I use this all day long in the PNG transparent background format. All right, so let's hit export. I'm going to choose. I can't see what's going on down there. There we go. Export. I choose the folder that I'm in. I'm on my page balloons. I hit, it's going to go into the 1x folder because that's the scale. Choose. Great. So that is the portion that takes the longest depending on your artwork. Again, you can follow along. I put the link in the description. And now we move on to the animation in a minute. And let's see how we do here. So I'm going to open up Cartoon Animator. Now the first thing I like to do is I like to have a reference. So now that I've exported those separate assets for my custom rigged character, I do a Command G to group them. I'm just going to call this girl. It's Control G on a PC. And then I do a single asset export, girl reference, for a reference image. And I'll show you how that works. Okay. I export that one as well. Just choose that folder. Okay. So now I go find that folder, artwork, scenes, and I saved it in, what page is this? Balloons, balloons, balloons. There it is. Page balloons, 1x. Let's sort by date modified. And here's all the assets I just exported. But I'm missing the eyes. And so let's see if she had a different one selected when she was working on this. Okay, so if I go to export, where did this go? Okay, so that's why. She accidentally saved it in 11 and 12. So that's fine. I'm just, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to hurry and go find that. Apologize. 11, 12. Great. That's just where they went. Stuff all over the place. Sort by date modified. All right, now I have all the assets. There they are. The first thing I want to do is drag in that reference. Okay. G3 free bone actor. I am working in Cartoon Animator 4 because I'm on a Mac. 5, you can do this just as well. And now that I'm here, this is such a simple character, I'm just going to start adding bones. I always start with the hip bone. Boom. Go down to the right leg where it will be. Escape. Click on this again. Add bone. Right leg, left leg. Escape. Click on it again. Add bone. Torso. Escape. Click on this. Add bone. Oh, I didn't have to click off that. That was a dumb move on my part. Click and right arm. Escape. Click and click and escape. Click. Let's get her head in here. It's going to float right there. Click. Escape. And because this is a custom character, not a fully rigged, I got to do one for the eyes and the pigtails as well. So I'm going to click on this. And I'm going to do an eye. Escape. And this is important because it's just a simple custom character, not fully rigged. This could work for anything, a bat, a telephone pole if you want to animate that. Now I'm going to do the pigtail. So I'm going to click here, add, and I'm purposefully clicking where the image will overlap the bone because if you don't, it could be problematic. Add bone, pigtail, boom. And I leave out the arms and legs because I'm going to add those once I import the sprites. Now that's perfectly set up. Now all I have to do with my reference image there is close out of this, click on a bone. Let's start with the torso. So I'm going to use the sprite editor, add, and I'm going to go to the right folder, scenes, and it was in 10. And no, where was it? Now I don't remember where she put it. Sorry, page 11. Scenes, page 11. And these are quirks, you know, that's why I'm including this. This happens. Now, where did that go? 12. And then 1x. There they are. There's her torso. And Cartoon Animator sizes it strange, and so that's why I have that reference image in here, just to make sure it's sized right. So I'm going to just put it there, just slowly get it to the right size. That looks good to me. And next I'm going to click on the right arm. And I know it's not done because there's nothing there. Add arm right. It's too small. So I'm going to click in here. And again, if you're following along, that file's the link in the description. Oh, a little bit bigger. It needs to cover that bone. Doesn't have to be exact on this because it's just a custom character. I may have smoothed out that arm a little bit better, but I think that'll work. Now I'm going to go over to the other arm. Pop. And I'm going to rename these really quick because I like to organize in case we need to use this again. Keep it nice and organized. And this is just real world work with Cartoon Animator 4. Can do a lot of fun stuff. Okay, so that one looks good. And now we need the head. So I'm clicking on that. Adding the head. Don't be alarmed, her eyes are not there. Size it, and these are perfectly sized to my 4K resolution in Illustrator. So with Cartoon Animator 4, you don't have vector, and so you have to size them right. Cartoon Animator 5 is different, and I go over that in different tutorials. Now on her left eye, we're going to add her eye, and I'm just going to go and turn off her head just to make sure I have empty. How big the eyes is too big, and the head is a little too big too, so I'm just gonna shrink it down to about there, and that looks good. So I'm gonna go back to the eye, click on the eye bone, shrink it down just a little bit. I'm happy with that. And before I move on to the other eye, I'm gonna add another element here. It's going to be a blink, and let's just see, bring it down. It's too big. I'm happy with that. Same thing on the other eye, that default one. Okay, let's go turn this one back on so we have a reference to how big it should be. And this is just because blinking makes a character so much more alive. It's crazy, but you know, it's just all about making something feel alive. This is a storybook, so it just needs subtle movement. You're welcome to go see this. The link is in the description, the finished project. Okay, so that looks good. Now I need to add the blink on this one. Let's resize it as massive. And now I'm going to go over to this one and get the blink as a reference. I'm pretty happy with that. It just needs to come over this way. Okay, cool. So I've got those. Let's get the legs. Click on the leg sprite. Leg right. And again, this is all in the link in the description if you want to follow along and give this a try. It's all about sharing and helping each other, educating. That's how we make the world a better place, so we can thrive together. No more of this greed. We call it the greed of Wall Street here. We need to share, and there's abundance in this world. All right, so I'm happy with that. I'll know if I've missed anything if I click back on this. Oh, I know I've missed something, but I'll fix it in just a minute. On the root bone, so if I come over here, click root, I can turn off or delete that reference image. And now I have everything in place. The only thing I'm missing is the pigtails. So let's go click over here, and we're going to add the pigtails. And that's going to be pigtail right. Size it up a bit, and just make sure it's overlapping that bone. Very good. Pigtail left. Add. Make sure it's overlapping that bone. And now we need to name and layer. So what I like to do at this point is I come over here, and root I'm going to leave as root. If I click this, it highlights that bone. I'm going to close out of this. It highlights that bone. That is the hip. So I triple click hip. This bone is going to be leg right. That bone is leg left, and we'll finish those in a minute. This is the torso. That's the collarbone, I call it. And this is just for your reference. This is arm left, arm right, and that's going to be head. That's going to be eye right, eye left, and I might just pigtail left. Need to capitalize camel case. I like to camel case things. I'm a programmer by amateur programmer by hobby. Pigtail right. Now that we've got all those named, before we do the layer manager, I like to just, Cartoon Animator does have a tendency to crash, so I'm just going to save that, and that's going to be 0, 1, 1, I believe. Fly balloons. And I'll overwrite that in just a minute. I just want to save my work so I don't have to start over. And just because we can, let's go list collapse. I went to layer manager, list collapse, and just sort this. Pigtails are going behind the head. The arms go behind the hips as well as the layers. The eyes go in front of the head. And now we're all layered correctly. But we still have a few more bones to do. Now that we've got everything in place, we're going to add the rest of the leg bones. Add bone. There's our knee, ankle, foot. Click this, add bone, knee, ankle, foot. Not the best, but I'm not too concerned. This is just a simple add bone, elbow, wrist, hand nub. Add bone, elbow, wrist, hand nub. And you notice I'm making sure I'm clicking on actual imagery. Otherwise it'll go gray. It'll do this and it'll be gray. And so just be sure you're putting on actual imagery. And I could switch out sprites. I could have done hands, but this is, again, a simple character, but you could use your imagination. There's lots of things. But before we close this is super important to me. Show wireframe, density. I like the alignment to be affect all layers. Expand, not as much. I like it a little bit, but not a ton. And I'll show you why I do this. It's important to have that. Now that I've got all that, I do File, Save Character. And I just overwrite the one I just did, replace. So now if I need to, here she is. I can come back in my Content Manager custom character. I'm putting them in a new folder here, and there she is. If I need to drag in any of the previous ones that I've worked on, you know, there they are. And so now, animation in a minute, boom. In this page, I just want her to be just kind of flapping around and blinking, right? Where'd she go? There she is. So she's going to replace that one. So what I need to do is center, zero her, smooth, and then Alt click or left click and drag. I'm going to zoom in, Alt right click on a Mac. It's a little bit different on PC. I think it's both clicks left and right, and then Alt to move in and out. Again, that's Cartoon Animator 5. I have some cool vector things I'm working on. I'll do a tutorial soon. There she is. Now let's just make this simple. First thing, timeline, boom. I want this to be 16 seconds. Boom, that's just our standard for this. I'm going to turn on transform of motion. Boom and boom. Now I'm going to open up my 2D motion key editor. I always do full body set key very beginning. It's just something that you want to get in a habit. What I forgot to do at 16 seconds is cut it. So I'm going to click this button, boom, and that moves this red thing, and now my whole scenario scene is 16 seconds. And I should have been at the beginning before I did set key full body, but I did it at the end. We'll see if that messes this up. It should be okay. So now that I've done that, I'm going to come around to let's say 50, because in this we're doing super slow motion. And it's nice that I named everything, because now I can just do simple things. Now in this, I want her to kind of just flap around. So I'm going to go this arm. It's going to do subtle things like this. Oh, and I'm not following my own medicine here. So let me just start over. It's okay to start over. I can delete her, go to my custom content, bring her back in. Or I could right click, remove object animation. Just make sure you're at the very beginning when you do anything like that. I'm just going to start over because I'm not following my own standards. 0. There we go. Now that I'm here, now her eyes, look at her eyes. What happened there? Let me come to the... Sometimes Cartoon Animator, it drives me crazy. It has these crazy things like this. It just cuts the eyes. So I'm going to go see. And it's not cut here. You see that? It's so weird. I don't like that. So sometimes if I just quit Cartoon Animator 4 and then reopen it, hopefully yours doesn't do this. I've not found a workaround for that. Usually you have to re-import things, modify the file, stuff like that. Now I'm going to go to custom actor character, custom character. More than anything, so much easier in Cartoon Animator 5 to move around. It's still cut out. Let's go to composer mode, see if we can fix that. And go to sprite, replace this one with an eye. Yeah, it's still there. Not cool. So one thing you can do to fix this, to work around, let me just show you. If you run into this bug, I didn't think I was going to have to do this, is what you do is you come into that eye. So let's just drag this all back out. I'm just going to redo these two eyes. Is you come into this eye, and what you do is you get the pen tool, and this is where the problem is. I'm just going to click right there. I'm going to add a little path that has nothing in it, and I'm going to drag it into the right folder. Which one was it? It was this one. Boom. And now I'm just going to ask to export that one. I'm going to call it I fixed, and let's see if that does it. Export, choose, come back here, replace, I fixed, and it didn't do it. So I'm just going to delete and try this again. How annoying is that? There it is. So I'm just going to do that on both eyes, because that's just a bug in Cartoon Animator 4. That's just, it's always been there. It's happened to me often enough to be, I did not mean to replace that. Let's go back. I might have to start over. Nope, we're good. I need to add the other asset there. So there we are, fixed. And now we got to go do the same thing over here. So I'm just going to delete, and I'm going to cancel, click, add, I fixed. That looks about the right size. Boom. And so I'm going to file, save character, overwrite this one. And it's just an annoying thing that happens in Cartoon Animator 4. Okay, so now that I have that, yay, I want to open up my timeline. Make sure I've set this to my 16 seconds. Cut it to end it there. That moves that. Go back to the beginning. Open up transform and motion. Those are the two I use typically. And give myself a little more space. And the very first thing I'm going to do is go to my 2D motion key editor. I'm on the very first frame. And I set key. All right. And now that I've set the key, all I want her to do, because I'm going to move her around in Premiere Pro, I'm not going to do it here because I want to have the freedom to move it around here, is I'm just going to move her arms and limbs and stuff like that and make her blink. So first, easiest thing is to make her blink. Let's just have her blink right there. All you have to do is click on that eye right. You could click here as well. Sprites, eye right, blink. Eye left, blink. Done. I like to go 5 to 6 frames. But this is a slow motion thing, so I'm going to go a little bit more. Double, open, open. And so if I hit play, boom, perfect. And now all I'm going to do is going to Alt, middle wheel, scroll out, and copy these. Copy, and come to frame here, paste, and then paste. And then I'm going to do copy on all of these. I'm just having her blink. It adds so much aliveness to a character. Play, boom. Now she's alive. Yay. Okay, cool. So she blinks. Next step. I'm going to close this, and now I'm going to go to the 2D motion key editor, and let's just play around with her movement. I'm going to have her, that's the beginning frame, so I'm going to come out to about 50. And I'm going to do select a part. If you do full body, you're going to just have a nightmare. Always do select a part and just move things. I'll show you why if I have that example. So I'm just going to kind of move her like that. And then move her like this. And like this. And like that. And just kind of like, in this book, everything's subtle and slow. So it's just having movement. I should go in here, transform curve, smooth. Just as a habit, make things nice and smooth. And so let's get her legs moving as well. So let's just go. Now, if I wanted her to stick to the ground, which in this case it doesn't matter, I would use these end effectors, but I'm not worried about that in this one. So it looks like they added them for me. Interesting, cool. Usually you have to go add them in composer mode, end effectors. Okay. So let's just see how that looks. I kind of don't want it to be too uniform, so I'm going to move this out a little bit. And same with this. Don't want it too uniform, like matching. Cool. So now let's get her head moving just slightly. Gonna go like this. And let's get her pigtails moving. Just little subtle things. Great. So save. It's always good to save the project. 011 balloon girl. And go back because I saved that one previously and I wanted to come back and edit it. Now she will be moving around. That looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. Looks natural. Let's come in here. I could just copy paste everything, but we're going to just do a little bit more custom for the sake of this tutorial. So I could reset everything and that brings her back, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to go from here. Let's bring her torso just slightly back and let's give her legs some movement this way. And what I've done, I've gone forward another few hundred frames or so, 75 frames, and I don't want her to look like she has broken legs, but that looks pretty good. Let's play with her hand a little bit. Just kind of move it behind her head. Just give her some movement and see what that looks like. All right. Play. And then what I don't like, I'm going to move this over. This just took too long. I'm using the transform. And what that does is it moves everything. And then I want to reset. Let's have her reset right there. Her whole body reset. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these transforms. Copy. I'm going to come right here and paste those. And let's hit save and see how it looks. Yeah, I'm happy with that, you know. I'll take it. And so what I'll do here is I'll copy these and I'll just have her move towards the end. And I'm good with that. So it's render video Apple ProRes 444 on a Mac. I don't remember what it is on a PC. I will go check. But I'll show that in my PC version with Cartoon Animator 5. And that gives me transparency. I make sure it's 4K. Make sure it's the whole range and export. Make sure I name it. And just like that, we have our finished animation. I'll show you what I do next just because we can. Now, this was animation in a minute. That literally could take you a minute, but there was some setup. So realistically, it's 5 to 15 minutes with the setup and the editing and different things. But the animation in a minute is literally what Cartoon Animator provides and offers to animators like yourselves and like me. And it just helps things go a little bit quicker. And there are other ways to do this. Adobe Animate is one. I'm toying around with that and we'll do some tutorials on it. But I've found, because I've been using Cartoon Animator for a few years, it's quite easy. It's like second nature now. It's just edit, move, animate, keyframes, and you're done. All right, I'm just going to save this for anybody who wants to follow along and try this on their own. I am going to delete all the excess stuff that you don't need. Boom. So you can try this on your own and educate yourself. Let me save this. Let's put it in downloads. There we go. Save. And I will post a link to that so you have that. It's done here. So I'm not going to open it. I'm just going to go to Premiere Pro. Open up Finder window, go to where I saved this, which was in a folder called Videos inside my project. And it's under Ready. And there she is. Now, typically you want to drag this into your media library right here. First, it's just safer that way rather than dragging it to your timeline. So I'm going to drag it here. There's the balloon girl. Gonna find the right scene area. Looks like it's right here. Now all of this movement could have been done in Cartoon Animator, but she's not as familiar with it as I am, so she used Premiere Pro. It works, looks nice. But the problem with this is if I wanted to like zoom in and zoom out, do subtle camera movement, you're stuck with doing it to how many assets here. It's redunculous, and so That's why I do it in Cartoon Animator, because then you have the power to do something like this. If I go to the very beginning, this was done in Cartoon Animator, so I have the power to zoom in, zoom out, because it's just one video file right here, rather than a bajillion assets like we have later down the road in this scene. Alright, so where's my balloons? Here they are. Boom. So now what I've got to do is I've got to find, hey, which one is the girl? Do you know in this one?
Asset. She's right where the tiny balloons
Is that her?
go to the mid balloons.
That's not her. So tiny group, asset.
Okay, so she should be in front of the tiny group, right? Because she goes, see how she's going in front of all the tiny balloons?
Okay, so this is why we
not
named
name
the
her?
big girl. Let's see if that's her. Yay!
Named her!
Alright, so I'm going to delete her and drag in my newly created thing here. And now that I've got that, I'm doing a tutorial on this, by the way.
Okay.
I need to shrink her down. So I've selected her and I scale her down. Tell me when. Oh, that's way too small. Tell me when.
That's probably pretty good right
There. Let's go move her to the original place in the book.
Right there is where I put her in the video. Because
Okay.
she comes down a little bit, so I
Right,
started
right.
her up there where
Okay,
you can see
so
her face.
I'm going to have her go through this and put her where she wants her, but that's the end of this tutorial, animation in a minute. If you have any questions, comments, or want other things made, please do put them down in the comment section, and like and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for joining. Bye.